Welcome to the Emblazing Leaders Vodcast. I'm your hostess, Dr. Talisa Sullivan. Join me as we hear from leaders across diverse fields around the world. Welcome to Emblazing Leaders. I have with me the amazing Dr. Shawna Dinkins from Linwood Unified School District. She is the deputy superintendent of schools in Linwood, and I'm going to let her introduce herself a little bit more, and then we'll jump into a few questions. Dr. Dinkins, please give us the honor of introducing yourself to us, telling us who you are.
Well, thank you for my name and thank you for the lovely introduction. But year 30, variety of experiences and jobs for me. Classroom teacher, director of categoricals, director of special education, principal. I've been a literacy coach, a literacy specialist, and now I'm deputy soup. And I'm probably sure I'm leaving something out, but I've had various experiences, various levels. I think the most important thing to me though is it's always my why.
Mm.
And because I had such a wonderful education growing up, I want to replicate that for students who look like me. And so that is always my why. It will forever be my why. And I will forever move forward and changing systems, changing minds, changing processes about what our kids can and cannot do. No limitations.
I love that. No limitations for our kids.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm gonna jump into our first question, and
Okay.
I'm sure you missed a few things. I know you missed mentor extraordinaire.
Oh my. I don't consider that a job, but a service.
Yes,
Um,
it's a great service.
and a little bit of a calling, but thank you for bringing that up. I do take extreme pleasure in helping people in any way that I can, and I take my mentorship very seriously. So thank you for mentioning that.
You're absolutely welcome, and I take your mentorship very seriously too.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so first, tell us what resources or tools that you've relied on to guide you through complex leadership challenges, and how have they helped you succeed? If you can talk to us about that.
Well, sometimes I'm not really sure what I was doing. But one thing that I always try to keep at the forefront, especially in these political times, I think about my own children
Mhm.
and I ask myself, well, what would you want for your daughters if this were them? And so with that, I try to wear multiple hats in a situation. I learned in grad school that there are four lenses through which you need to look at a problem: the human capital, the social capital, the political capital, and sometimes just common sense, which is not so common. But I try to use my experience. I try to put myself in the other person's shoes. But like I said, my really big one is never losing the sense that I am a parent and I no longer have kids in school, well, TK through 12 school, but I think about what I would want for them and more importantly, how I would want someone to treat them and how I would want someone to respond to me about something that involved my children.
Wow, I love that. Because a lot of times we go into educational spaces, and we don't think about our kids first. We go in and we think, oh, this is their school. We don't even live in the community
Right.
sometimes. And so for
Right.
you to say, you think about your own kids, how do you want them to be treated?
Absolutely.
You think about your own self. That's powerful. And
Oh,
that's
thank
it's really inspirational to know we have leaders out there that are really thinking about other people's kids as if they were their own. So I appreciate that.
Well, I have to give that honor and shout out to Lisa Delpit. I'll
Yes.
never forget being maybe in my 4th year of teaching a large urban high school in LA Unified School District. It was the first year of ninth grade to the high school. It was the first year of 20 to 1.
Hmm.
Um, it was also the first time this school was doing block schedule. And I remember thinking, "Oh, this is gonna be easy. I only have 20 kids." But, oh boy,
Mhm.
it was rough, and I had a mentor at the time, back to mentorship, who recommended, Lisa Delpit's book, and the title of that book is
Other
Other
people's
People's
children.
Children,
I remember
and
that
I
book.
never, ever forgot those lessons, and so it's what guides me in my decision making. I think most importantly, it guides me in how I build relationships,
Mhm.
whether that's with a parent, a caregiver, a grandmother, even one-on-one in talking to students. I always look at that young man, that young girl as if they were my own.
That's awesome. Yes, I remember that book very well. That's one of our
Yes.
old school books, right?
Oh, it's old, but it
Lisa
still
Del Pitts,
rings
but
true.
it's still true.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that back to my memory because that's one of my early on books too. Like when you talk about equity work, it's one of the
Yes.
books that we don't talk about anymore
Early.
when we talk about equity, but we really need to bring back those lessons from, from our like our our I want to say ancestors, like as if, she's like ancient and but, like, lessons from those who came before us and for
Yes.
those whose shoulders we stand on, so
Yes, early in our career, the Asa Hilliards, the Lisa Delpits, there are so many folks who really started talking about the work that we do today.
mhm,
They were talking about that work in the 80s and the 90s when we thought something was wrong with kids, when in actuality, they were trying to tell us then it's not the children, it's the system.
right.
And you have to unravel those systems that are keeping our children boxed in.
Love it, yes, unravel the systems. I'm gonna move to the next question, we're
Okay,
gonna talk about our kids. We're gonna talk about the culture of our kids. So
okay.
how do you foster a culture of adaptability and resilience within your team during times of uncertainty and change?
Culture of adaptability. You know, this is a great question, and I had to give it a lot of thought because I'm not intentional about adaptability.
Okay.
And what I'll say is, so for example, when I came into my current school district, equity wasn't a thing. It was a department.
Mhm,
It was embedded in our mission. It was one of the many lenses, but one of the most important lenses by which we were making decisions about resources and opportunities and access
mhm,
that we were going to give to our students. So oftentimes I get asked the question, how did you navigate equity work, or how did you navigate implementing this policy?
mhm.
And I'll have to say that in Linwood, I have been fortunate that I have not had those battles.
Wow.
I've watched other people have those battles. I've marveled at how other people have overcome them, but we are really fortunate to have a board and previous and current superintendent who just get it. That would be Dr. Paul Gotthold, who just retired as the county superintendent of San Diego. And after him came my current boss and current superintendent, Dr. Gudiel Crosswade. And when you have a leader who's able to explain to the board with supports and resources why this work is important, those battles don't exist. Now, that's not to say that we haven't had our challenges. That's not to say that everyone in our organization is in agreement with some of the practices we've put in place to support Black and Brown children. But that is to say that we have created the conditions where being in opposition is not a good thing.
Mhm.
And if you are in opposition, there are a myriad of leaders who will take the time to explain why we do what we do. And everyone, and I'll speak to my Ed Services division,
Mhm.
everyone in my division can explain why we do what we do. And at the end of the day, it's because students are our why. So there's not a whole lot to explain because at the essence of equity is ensuring that everybody has what they need when they need it. And all kids aren't the same. And so you have to do different things to produce your proposed outcomes.
Thank you for that. Yes, you mentioned some great leaders. I definitely also experienced Dr. Goffel too. And of course, my other extraordinary mentor, Dr. White, who was here earlier, Dr. Judy White, who was
Love
here
her.
earlier. She just, yes, we need those leaders that can actually
Yes.
step into those spaces and mentor us and pour into us so that we become the leaders that we are today. And like your extraordinary self, your leadership
Thank
is as a result, I'm sure, of the individuals who have guided you and who have offered you support and
Mhm.
and feedback when necessary and all of that kind of stuff. So I thank you for that, and thank you for pouring into your team,
Oh,
to ensure
absolutely.
that we have what you said, our kids have what they need when they need it, because everyone needs
Mhm.
support, but also not just our kids, but the adults that serve our kids. Because if we don't offer the adults that serve our kids what they need when they need it, our kids ain't gonna get it.
Right.
So yeah, so thank you
Absolutely.
for that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna move on to the next question. So we're gonna talk a little bit about networking and leveraging those relationships, and that's
Okay.
important because we need to stick together at times and
Yes.
make sure that we get what we need when we need it. So how have you leveraged networking and professional relationships to create opportunities for career growth for yourself, and you can talk about for others as well?
That's another great question, and I think me personally, I'm very big on relationships, but I'm also very big on understanding who's connected to
Hmm.
whom. So I have a couple of rules that I live by. One is you never speak ill of anyone, and I say that because people could be related. I have people said things to me, and I'm like, just be careful of repeating that.
Hmm.
That could be my brother-in-law for all you know.
Right.
So that's a rule that I abide by. When there is gossip or anything happening within the organization, you just want to keep your name out of that.
Yes.
So one of the ways I operate is I never put myself in a situation where there's a Shawna said or a Dr. Dinkins said because I don't say anything.
Mm.
So I've been able to maintain relationships, starting with the very people that I work for. I think it's important. You're spending a lot of time with leaders.
Yes.
And when I say leaders, I'm not necessarily talking about administrators
Hmm.
because everybody has some aspect of leadership in what they do, from the custodian to the board of education.
Yeah.
There is leadership in every position. And so I treat everybody with respect. I speak to everyone, and I do my best not to take it personal.
Hmm.
So I maintain relationships first and foremost by being true and authentic
Hmm.
and making sure that I keep my integrity. And like I said, I don't go on the periphery of gossip or I don't involve myself in any of that. I keep in touch. I think one of my greatest lessons
Hmm.
about leveraging relationships. This is a great story. I attended USC from 2006 to 2009 to obtain my doctorate. And in that program, at the time, was an up and coming superintendent. And we're a lot alike in our personalities.
Hmm.
And we always just stayed in touch. And every time she would get promoted
Hmm.
or she would have an article in AXA, whatever it was, I would always send her a little note. One day she called me. This happened twice in my career, and she asked me to come work for her. But at
Wow.
various stages in my personal life, I had littles, and there were the jobs that she were asking me to do were great opportunities,
Hmm.
but I was just at a point in my career and life where I could not commit.
Right.
And then one day, I had an interview in a district where she was the superintendent. But I did not tell her that I was interviewing.
Oh.
So in this particular interview, you had your first round and your second round on the same day.
Oh, wow.
And as I'm walking out of the second round, I hear a woman's voice says, "Is that Dr. Dinkins in my district?" And she didn't come and say hello to me.
Oh, wow.
And that story is so important to my career because I intentionally didn't tell her. What a coincidence. Although I
Mm.
don't really believe in those, I believe in God's timing.
Right.
So, what a wonderful God's timing that I am walking down the hallway and she just so happened to have saw me. I didn't see her. She saw me from behind. And so, from that, she gave me additional guidance on what should be the next step in my career, and she's largely responsible that I am a deputy superintendent today. And so those relationships, regardless of when you make them,
Mhm,
just stay authentic to who you are and do the little things, the little notes, the little texts,
mhm.
the little emails, they go a long way. People really appreciate that, and never think that anyone is too busy for you to be kind, and respectful towards them about their work and the impact of their work on your life.
Thank you, and I'm smiling the whole time, but I started smiling a little bit bigger when you talked about never, think someone is too busy,
Right?
and the reason why I know that is because you're sitting here with me today,
Oh,
and it really warms my heart to know that I can call upon you as a leader, as a mentor, as a
mhm.
friend at any point in time, but to show up in a space to be able to talk to other leaders, to take the time out of your day, to do this really shows myself, the leader, our listeners, our viewers that you're not too busy. And I appreciate that because sometimes leaders come in, they're like, I'm busy, I'm too busy, I'm busy. And it's like that's one of my pet peeves. And so sometimes when people tell me, like, oh, you're so busy, I'm like, no, I'm never too busy. And so I want to hold that same regard for everyone. So thank you for
Yes,
that. I appreciate that nugget.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to move on to the next question. So, what practices do you follow to ensure that your actions consistently align with your values and the principles of servant leadership?
So servant leadership is one of my core fours, I like to call it. It doesn't work in every situation, but it's just important to be clear. Um, on your purpose and your why. You heard me earlier say about your calling. I do think that everyone has one. I think the earlier you can get clear and grounded in what that is,
Mhm.
you'll be less distracted by the noise, I like
Right.
to call it. Um, I wow. I like to be of service to others because I don't feel that there's any talent or gift that I have been given that's solely just for me. I believe that, that old adage, to whom much is given, much is required, right?
Mhm.
And it's not so much that I think I have so much to give. I just don't think that what I have is for me to keep. So if someone asks me of something that is in the realm of my calling, who am I to deny that? So that's where servant leadership fits in for me. And it crosses over to how I serve and feel and think about the community that I serve. So, no, I'm not from Linwood, but my commitment to the students and families of Linwood, I think is greater because I can live amongst people and never ever talk to them. But when you're committed to a cause,
Mhm.
you're committed to a calling, it's hard not to stay in that servant leadership role. So much so you don't even think about it. It's more of a action verb. I try not
Mhm.
to get too philosophical about it. There's a lot of tenets of it that I think I've still yet to learn, but I do my best. And every day that is my prayer. Let me be better than I was the day before, and let me give unto those who need it the most. That you put in my pathway, and then identify for those that I need to seek.
Mhm.
And that's how I stay humble. And I think having humility is a character trait that more people need to focus on because this work is not glamorous.
It's
The
not.
titles are not glamorous. In Linwood, we have a saying that the stakes are great, but the reward is greater. So
Um,
when it gets hard, those are the things I keep in mind because it is difficult. It's hard to say, I'm here to serve you when people are cursing you out
Oh, yes.
and calling you out of your name. It's hard when people are lying on you at the board meetings and
Mm,
saying things in public comments that just aren't true. And you're not always in a position to defend yourself. So you have to take those stripes and those bullets in the name of serving
mm.
communities and families.
I got a little full and I said to myself as you were just like ending, I said, I'm gonna have to probably replay this over and over and over and over again so I can hold on to this and get
Send
this
it to me so I can
so you
hold
can
on
so you can hold on to it and replay it too.
that part.
Yes, yeah, I was like thinking, I was like, you like the servant leadership that you talked about. Who am I to keep a gift? And I just that really is resonating with me, and it really, like I said, I think I'm gonna have to replay so I can remember that this isn't. And honestly, I think that that's why I'm here. I think I'm here with Emblazing Leaders and pouring into others because I feel like I have an opportunity to really engage in conversations, and I've been told that this is my gift, and I'm embracing it, and I've decided I'm gonna give this gift, and I'm gonna keep giving. So I appreciate you giving your gifts. You have so many of them, and so I'm super glad
Don't know about that.
you do. You have so many of them. You're not deputy superintendent for no reason. Trust me, you're not deputy superintendent for no reason. And
Mhm.
so I appreciate the gifts that keep giving, and I know that our listeners and our viewers appreciate the gifts that keep giving. Like it's irreplaceable for to have someone like you come and pour into us on our stage. Well, I don't know if we're on the stage, but wherever we are, I'm super super excited that you chose to give us this gift and that you're not keeping it to yourself. So I appreciate
No.
that.
The gift is for me to give.
Yeah.
It's one of the best feelings in the world, knowing that somehow I have contributed to whether it's a student success, an adult leaving our program with some sort of vocational skill or certification to do better lives. Like we want to deploy our students with the appropriate resources to
Mhm.
rebuild communities and let their destiny not be connected to their zip code. So
Love that.
having that servant leadership role, especially in serving in urban communities, is critical.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to move on. I'm not sure if we're at the last one, but we might be at our last question. Let me see. Oh,
Okay.
we are. Ah, we did this pretty quick, or either it's like, how time flies when you're having fun?
Yes.
Time flies when you're having fun. So,
Yes.
I'm gonna you've been giving us a lot of good nuggets, a lot of good tips, but I'm gonna ask for one more tip. I'm gonna say, what is one leadership tip that you can give our emblazing leaders that are watching or listening today?
I would say, oh, can I give more than one?
You can give as many
Okay.
as you want.
So I have a couple of those nuggets I've already dropped, but I would say be clear in your purpose,
Okay.
in your actions, move with integrity, and dare I say, kindness,
Mm,
and always be respectful, even when you don't agree. Be intentional about learning how to work with diverse people,
mhm,
diverse learners, diverse communities. Um, don't look at any of this work or any of our students and families through a deficit lens, because that's easy to do because we all have bias.
mhm,
And so if you walk away with nothing out of what I just said, is check your bias because what you really feel in your heart, sometimes people think that as long as I don't say it, nobody will know
mm,
what it is I feel. But I
that
want to give
part.
you a little secret. When you are working with people who have been marginalized, underrepresented,
Mhm,
underserved, I think I need you to know we see you.
mhm.
So none of that false outrage, that false love, that false respect is going to get you far. If you don't love what you do and you don't love who you serve, it is your obligation to leave.
Wow.
So be committed, move with humility, be respectful, be kind, and love what you do.
I'm speechless. Need I
I
say
didn't
more?
mean to do
You
that.
you 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 dropped it for us today, and I just love being in the studio and hearing the wisdom. I always get a chance to tap in, but when I get a chance to like share you with the rest of the world, I'll share a little bit, but the rest of it we gonna keep. But I also want to just tell you that you are an emblazing leader, and
Oh,
you are
thank you.
amazing. You have been just a godsend for me. I don't have to say it out loud in front of these people about what I can call out all of them. But thank you for pouring in and continuing. Your team is blessed to have
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Your team is blessed to
I'm gonna
have
make
you.
sure they listen to this.
Yes, we gonna make them all. We're gonna sit them down and listen. Y'all blessed. So
But thank you for having me. It's anytime I can support, especially a fearless leader, because I'm running this race and I'm in the last quarter, and I need to be able to pass that baton to someone else. And not just pass it, but ensure that they're equipped because the battles in front of us are great. But like I said earlier, the rewards are greater. So thank you for having me.
you're welcome. Thank you.